Vitamins, as pronounced in US, or vitamin, as pronounced in UK, refers to one or a group of compounds that are required in small amount in the diet of an individual for optimum functioning of all its metabolic processes. A compound or related sets of compounds are called vitamins when they are not synthesized in the body of the individual in sufficient amount so as to be supplied from food. Thus, the definition of vitamin is conditional both on circumstances as well as on that particular individual. For example, vitamin C is vitamin to humans but not for many other animals and birds because they are synthesized in those animals. Vitamin D and biotin, on the other hand, are vitamins to humans only under certain circumstances. The word vitamin has been coined hybridizing two words, vital and amine, because it was believed that the vitamins are essential, vital for the life process, and they were biological amines. However, we now know that not all vitamins are amines. Most of the vitamins are associated with a deficiency disease. For example, vitamin D deficiency causes disease of bones like osteoporosis and ricket. Deficiency of vitamin A, on the other hand, which is very common in the poorer part of the world, causes night blindness. In a series of several lectures, we will try to understand all the 13 compounds that are universally recognized as vitamins in considerable details. However, for the introductory class today, let us go back to the history and discovery of the vitamins. It's interesting. The value of eating certain food for good health was known even before the vitamins were discovered. Ancient Egyptians knew that feeding liver to a person would help cure night blindness, although it was not known at the time that vitamin A deficiency is responsible for night blindness. During the period of Renaissance, when the voyagers used to be long on board and they were not fed with fresh fruits and vegetables, they suffered from different types of illnesses. And now we know those were because they didn't have access to vitamins. In 1747, Scottish surgeon James Lind observed that citrus fruit can help prevent scurvy, a disease where collagen synthesis is improper, leading to poor wound healing, pain, bleeding of the gum, and even death. He published his work in a journal and prescribed that lemon and lime be supplied to the voyagers, which was readily accepted and implemented in the British Royal Navy. This gave the sailors of that organization the nickname Limey. In eastern part of Asia, where polished rice was the common staple food among the poor and villagers, beriberi was endemic because lack of vitamin B1, although they didn't know at that time. In 1884, Takeki Kanehiro observed that among the navy crews of poor rank, those who were fed with polished white rice only, they developed beriberi. However, it was not so common among the top-ranking crew members who used to have Western-style diet. With the support of Japanese Navy, he experimented with the crew members of two battleships. One group was fed with polished rice only, while the other group, along with polished rice, got fish, meat, cereals, and other vegetables. He observed that in the first group, where white rice was the only food, 161 crew members developed beriberi, of which 25 died. However, in the second class, where along with white rice, fish and meat was supplied, there were only 14 cases of beriberi with no death. Thus, Kanehiro concluded that proper diet is necessary for prevention of beriberi. However, he concluded that it is the protein and fat of meat and fish that prevented beriberi. That disease could be caused by some dietary deficiency was also proposed by Christian Eichmann, who in 1897 observed that feeding unpolished rice instead of the polished version would prevent beriberi among chicken. In the following years, Frederick Hopkins proposed that there are some quote-unquote accessory factors in some food which are necessary for optimal functioning of all the biochemical processes of humans. In 1910, the first vitamin complex was isolated by Umetaro Suzuki, who isolated water-soluble multivitamin complex from rice bran and named it as aberic acid. He published his work in a Japanese journal, and unfortunately when it was translated in German, the very claim that it was the first of such an isolate was omitted, and hence the work of Umetaro Suzuki never came to highlight. In 1912, Polish biochemist Casimir Funk isolated the same complex from rice bran and proposed the name of vitamin because he believed that these nutrients were amines. In 1929, Christian Eichmann and Sir Frederick Hopkins received Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine for their work on several vitamins. In 1931, Albert St. George and his colleagues isolated hexuronic acid from the adrenal gland of animals and suspected that it could have antiscorbutic activity. He gave the compound to Charles Glenn King, who had an antiscorbutic assay ready in rabbits. They succeeded, and in 1937, Albert St. George was awarded the Nobel Prize in Physiology and Medicine for his landmark work on vitamin C. In 1943, Henrik Dam and Edward Doisy was awarded the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine for their work on vitamin K, specially deciphering the chemical structure of this vitamin. In 1967, George Wald, along with his colleagues Ragnar Granit and Holden Hartline, received Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine for showing vitamin A and its direct involvement in the physiological processes of humans. Over the period of time, several compounds were claimed to be vitamins, many of which were found to be either very close to an existing vitamins or synthesized human body in sufficient amount. Finally, 13 compounds were universally recognized to be vitamins. These are vitamin A, D, E, K, vitamin C, and 8 B vitamins. This table shows the vitamins, their chemical names, and the deficiency disease associated with it. For example, the chemical name of vitamin A is retinol, and the deficiency disease associated with it is night blindness. Vitamin B1 is thiamine, and its deficiency is responsible for beriberi. Ascorbic acid is vitamin C, and the disease related to it is scurvy. Vitamin B3 is niacin, and the disease related to it is pellagra, and so on. Now, vitamins can be classified as either fat-soluble vitamins or water-soluble vitamins. For example, vitamin A, D, E, and vitamin K are fat-soluble vitamins, whereas vitamin B complex and vitamin C are the water-soluble vitamins. A vitamer of a particular vitamin is any or a number of chemical compounds that are structurally close to the vitamin. They show vitamin-like function in a vitamin-deficient biological assay system. For example, vitamin B9 has 3 vitamers, namely folic acid, folinic acid, and 5-methyl tetrahydrofolate. As you can see, the structures are quite similar to each other. The name of the vitamin is said as the generic descriptor, and the Vitamins can be more than one. For example, the generic descriptor is vitamin A, which presently has 6 vitamins, namely the retinal, the retinol, and the 4 carotenoid pigments like alpha, beta, gamma carotene, and the xanthophyll beta cryptoxanthin. Vitamin B1 has 2 vitamins, thiamine and thiamine pyrophosphate. Vitamin B3 has 2 vitamins, niacin and niacinamide. Vitamin B7 has only 1 vitamin, biotin. Vitamin D has 2 vitamins, argocalciferol and cholecalciferol, and so on. Until 1930s, vitamin used to be obtained solely from food and change of diet. However, from 1950s, multivitamin capsules and tablets came into market as commodity medicines, and people started taking multivitamin food supplements. Antivitamins are substances that interfere with the normal functioning of the vitamin, or they bind to the vitamin very strongly and make it unavailable to the system. As in this example, dicumarol is an antivitamin for vitamin K. Vitamin K acts as the cofactor of an enzyme responsible for synthesis of several blood coagulation factors. As we can see, this part of vitamin K is responsible for the attachment of itself with the enzyme. Dicumarol also has structural similarity with vitamin K, through which it can also bind to the enzyme, and so it can prevent vitamin K from interacting with the enzyme, and hence synthesis of the proteins responsible for blood coagulation factors are impaired. Avidin binds to biotin or vitamin B7 with very high affinity, and hence makes biotin unavailable for the system. Antivitamins can have very strong therapeutic potential. For example, dicumarol and hydrocumarol are used to relieve thrombosis, which means an abnormal blood clot inside any vessel. Aminopterin and methotrexate are potent antagonists of folic acid, and hence are used for treatment of leukemia and blood cancer. As you can see from this diagram, aminopterin and methotrexate share very common structural feature with that of folic acid. Vitamins can have diverse biochemical functions. For the introductory class today, we classify the function of vitamins into 3 broad categories. Vitamins can have hormone-like functions. For example, vitamin D is responsible for regulation of mineral metabolism, while vitamin A is responsible for tissue growth and differentiation. Vitamin C and vitamin E can have antioxidant activities, and most of the B vitamins function as the precursors of prosthetic group and cofactors for several enzymes responsible in the intermediary metabolism. Hypervitaminosis or vitamin poisoning refers to a condition when the storage level of one or more vitamin of a body becomes particularly high, such that toxic symptoms start to show up. For example, when vitamin A accumulates, we call it hypervitaminosis A. Hypervitaminosis are more associated with fat-soluble vitamins rather than the water-soluble ones, because fat-soluble vitamins very easily get deposited to liver and fatty tissues of the body. Food rarely delivers very high concentration of vitamins so as to cause hypervitaminosis. hypervitaminosis are usually associated with taking multivitamin food supplements. We come to the concluding part of our lecture, and the take-home messages are as follows. Vitamins are organic compounds required in small amount by an individual. A compound which is vitamin to one may not be a vitamin to others. Each vitamin is associated with a deficiency syndrome. At present, 13 compounds are universally recognized as vitamins. They are vitamin A, D, E, K, vitamin C, and 8 B vitamins. Vitamins are compounds that have vitamin-like functions. Each vitamin can have several vitamins, and the chart is not yet complete, it's still expanding. Antivitamins are substances that interfere with the functioning of vitamin, or they bind to the vitamin so strongly that vitamins are not available to the system. Antivitamins can have very strong therapeutic potential. Hypervitaminosis is a condition which refers to unusually high storage level of vitamins in the body, leading to toxic symptoms. Vitamins can have diverse biochemical function, starting from hormone-like action, antioxidant-like actions, and precursors of cofactors and prosthetic groups for enzymes.